is entirely in you.
Definitely.
In you and your name. That's what people don't give a fuck about those 3 letters.
At all.
At all. They just know Terence Crawford's the best. And who he's fighting, who cares? Like, whatever it is, that's the big fight. It doesn't WBO, WBC, no, IBF. Nobody gives a fuck.
I always say I never understand why we become champion have to pay for a belt. Keep that shit. Yeah. Keep it.
As long as they paid for the sanctioning bodies. But Crawford left out one, and that was the WBC. So, by default, on paper, he's not undisputed.
Joe Rogan just poured gasoline on an already raging fire. In one of his boldest takes in months, he tore into the WBC after they officially stripped Terence Bud Crawford of his super middleweight world title and revoked his boxing license. And honestly, it's hard to blame him. This isn't just about a belt being taken away. It looks like a raw power struggle between a fighter who made history with his fists and an organization that believes it owns the story of that history.
Belts don't mean nothing. We paying for the belts.
How much do you have to pay?
We got to pay like, what, 3%?
3%?
2%, 3%. Like,
that's crazy.
Definitely.
That's
it's like,
crazy.
It's like I'm paying you to make me a belt.
Rogan didn't hold back, saying what many fans have whispered for years, that boxing has become a pay-to-play game where even the best fighters have to pay their dues just to be called champions. Crawford, he argued, was the rare one who finally had the courage to say no. The fallout quickly spilled beyond the ring, with Keyshawn Davis backing Crawford, Teofimo Lopez firing back, and even Jimmy Lennon Jr. quietly acknowledging the sport's uncomfortable reality. Everyone weighed in, but Rogan's words landed the hardest, not because he's a boxing insider, but because he voiced what the world was already thinking.
And do you have to pay 3% to each individual section?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of them is different. Some of them is 3, some of them 2. You know, so it's like, I'm paying for you to come out here and watch me fight to give me a belt that, you know what I mean, I'm already paying for.
Rogan's rant quickly went viral, forcing fans to ask what this whole mess means for the future of boxing. What began quietly exploded after the WBC stripped Terence Crawford of his super middleweight title on December 3rd, citing unpaid sanctioning fees from his last 2 fights, his massive win over Canelo Alvarez, and an earlier bout with Israel Madrimov. The decision was controversial on its own, but the situation became even more explosive when reports surfaced that Crawford earned around $50 million for the Canelo fight, a number that stunned the boxing world and poured fuel on an already raging debate.
5% of his fees to go there. So Crawford made in the ballpark of $50 million. The WBC assessed $300,000 sanction fee, with $225,000 going to the fund and $75,000 going to the WBC.
Despite delivering a historic fight that made the WBC shine, Crawford was accused of refusing to pay what the organization called his dues. And just like that, the hammer came down. The title was stripped and his boxing license revoked.
I always say I never understand why we become champion have to pay for a belt. Keep that shit. Yeah. Keep it. I'm not gonna work 14, 15 years for me to pay for something I worked for. When I went to the Olympics, did I pay for that damn medal?
Enter Keyshawn Davis, one of boxing's fastest rising stars, and a fighter unafraid to speak his mind. In a fiery interview, Davis voiced what many fighters have felt but rarely say out loud, questioning why athletes are expected to pay for a belt they've already earned. He compared it to the Olympics, pointing out that no one pays for a medal after winning it, and made his stance clear: keep the belt if that's the price, because he's not handing over his money for something he fought his whole life to achieve.
No. If I walk into this arena without this belt, is these people still gonna show up? Yes. So keep the belt. You're not gonna take my money.
That quote raced across boxing pages within hours, and Davis didn't back down. He revealed he'd told the WBO the same thing, calling the practice of paying for belts outdated, unfair, and flat-out insulting. In his view, titles are symbols of achievement, not a source of income, and no fighter should have to buy recognition for what they've already fought hard to earn.
I agree with Terence, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't agree with paying for belts. That's why, for all the sanctioning bodies, you know what I'm saying? And I told this to the one that I was under, the WBO. I told him to. I said, I don't really believe in that. And he explained why. And I was like, okay, but I still don't agree with it. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm always going to be like for not paying for belts. Because what the fuck are we paying it for?
Fans loved it, not just as support for Crawford, but as a signal from a new generation fed up with the old rules. And just as the noise peaked, Joe Rogan stepped in. On his podcast, with that familiar mix of disbelief and controlled anger, he questioned why fighters are forced to pay massive sums for belts they already earned, calling it no different than taxing someone for winning. He pointed out that fans care about fights, not logos, and said the WBC came off looking greedy. That take set social media on fire.
He was entirely in you.
Definitely.
In you and your name. That's what people don't give a fuck about those 3 letters.
At all.
At all. They just know Terence Crawford's the best. And who he's fighting, who cares? Like, whatever it is, that's the big fight. It isn't WBO, WBC, IBF. Nobody gives a fuck.
Rogan's words carried weight because he wasn't part of the system or defending boxing's business interests. He was defending the spirit of competition. He said what promoters wouldn't, what networks couldn't, and what many fighters were afraid to admit, that the sanctioning system has become an outdated machine, feeding off the very athletes who make the sport survive.
The fact that he's gamed the system.
Yeah.
You know, because the system is you get to a certain point in time, you're a champion, make as much money as you possibly can, you retire, and then there's no more money. Now with what's going on in like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, like you can get paid insane amounts of money. Like people just want to see you perform.
Rogan compared it to a restaurant charging a chef just to serve his own food, and the analogy hit home. Fans flooded Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube agreeing that Crawford didn't disrespect boxing. He simply called its bluff. Still, not everyone agreed. That's when Teofimo Lopez stepped in with a very different take.
Canelo and Crawford was indeed for the undisputed. However, it was indeed, now hear me out, Punch. This was indeed accurate as long as they paid for the sanctioning bodies. But Crawford left out one, and that was the WBC. So, by default, on paper, he's not undisputed.
For Lopez, it was simple. Rules are rules. He argued that the Canelo-Crawford fight was for undisputed status, but since Crawford didn't pay the WBC fee, he wasn't undisputed on paper. Lopez pointed out that he paid his own sanctioning fees, saying if the system applied to him, it had to apply to Crawford too. His message was clear. If you want the belt, you accept the rules, even if they're ugly. To Lopez, Crawford wasn't a hero, but a rebel challenging a structure fighters before him had followed, even while resenting it. Fans, however, weren't convinced. Backlash flooded the comments, accusing Lopez of defending a broken system and reducing the issue to money, not respect. That reaction underscored Rogan's anger, exposing a double standard boxing has ignored for years. And while Rogan and Lopez clashed from the sidelines, another legend chose to weigh in.
What the hell is going on? I gotta pull over for this one. What the hell is going on? We talking about anybody that bring up Terence Crawford name? You already know I'm listening, right? Yeah. Somebody said that. Can Terence Crawford beat everybody on Floyd Mayweather's resume?
Timothy, Desert Storm, Bradley's video rant went viral, not for politics, but for pure passion. He ignored fees and rules, focusing instead on greatness. Bradley declared that anyone doubting Crawford against Floyd's fighters was wrong, insisting Crawford would have dominated them all with more power, versatility, and killer instinct. He even called out Floyd Mayweather directly, challenging him to step in the ring and prove who's truly the best.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Terence Crawford smashed everybody that Floyd ever fought. Yep. Man, Freddy, done. Fried. Crawford would have beat him, dominated him, knocked him the hell out. Crawford hit harder than Floyd. Crawford hits harder than Floyd. You understand that? Killer instinct is on 10. Oh, man, come on, man. Crawford can do everything Floyd can do, and he can do it from both sides.
The clip sent fans into a frenzy. Bradley wasn't just defending Crawford, he was reshaping his legacy on the spot, making it clear that strip title or not, Crawford's place in history was secure. Then came one of boxing's calmest and most respected voices, Jimmy Lennon Jr. Unlike the others, Lennon didn't take sides, but his words carried undeniable weight.
I think, like Mauricio, I'm going to take a high road, but I will say it's unfortunate for the sport of boxing. I think talking about money too much, and it is not the high road. And so we've seen some kind of ugly and not so pretty things, exchanges happen here. And so it's unfortunate, but it is a reality.
Boxing's power structure is fragile, and Crawford's defiance exposed it. Rogan's rant wasn't just about him. It was about every fighter forced to pay for recognition. He argued the WBC values business over sport, and fans agreed. Crawford earned his title in the ring, yet unpaid fees erased it on paper, raising the question, if greatness can be taken away over a bill, what's the point of fighting? Rogan, Keyshawn, and Bradley all highlighted the same truth. The system is broken. Stripped of his belt and license, Crawford has never looked more powerful as controversy turns into a movement.
I think there's some things behind the scenes that I have heard about that aren't necessarily public yet, which, makes this an impasse. So I think both have their reasons, but I would hope that this would be out of, I don't like it being as a part of the news. There's some ugliness about it, and that's unfortunate. At the same time, this has been happening in boxing for a long, long time.
From Rogan's rant to Davis's defiance and Bradley's praise, a new generation of fighters is challenging boxing's old system. The WBC may have stripped Crawford of a belt, but they gave him something bigger, a voice the world is listening to. He may have lost a title, but he gained a legacy as the man who took on the machine. And judging by Rogan's reaction, the WBC might have started a fight they can't win. What do you think? Was Rogan right to call them out, or did Crawford bring this on himself?
I'm paying you. You're not paying me. I'm paying you. So
Right.
the only one that really matters is the ring belt because it's free. It's free. Like, why do I got to pay to be champion?
Yeah.
Once you start thinking about that, like, dang,
Yeah.
I'm paying all this money.
And the Ring Magazine belt is as respected as any of them.
Yeah, that's the number one guy in the division.
Yeah.
Crawford got more skills than Floyd. Yeah, he would have beat everybody ass. Everybody. Zeb Judah too. That's my guy. Crawford would have got your ass too. Yup. That's my guy.
Alright, guys. For the latest in boxing news, highlights, and events, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Don't forget to check out our other videos. Until next time, peace out.